Greymaul fears this hammer, I would see the chamber from where it came.
Okay. It was with the help of Glurkub that Gorgar first acquired this hammer from Zul-mazal. If Greymaul fears it, I would see the chamber from where it came, like he said. Some clue to her fear might remain within, and this understanding may help us use it against her. Lead on, Floricita. I have not yet seen Zul-mazal, but you know where it lies. Be up in the pit of stone jaws, okay. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Kevin Plays LOTRO. Today we're continuing on with the Legacy of Durin Storyline. I'd like to invite you all, if you happen to like the video, please feel free to hit that like, subscribe, bell notification. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And now let's continue on with the Legacy of Durin Storyline. Okay, up there. Where do we talk for that? Up there. Well, let's go here first. We'll remove that. We'll do that first. Is there a way that way? Same way. So go this way and up that way. Alright. Can't heal myself. Okay. I think I'll hold our ground here. Let's get rid of that crystal grim. Where's my goat? Right here. Okay, right here. Ah, there's a mural. Did they finish it? No, they didn't finish it.
Oh, it's you again.
Do not forget that you owe me a favor. I did not have to release Eskel from his agreement with me, and chose to do so from benevolence only. You have surely noticed that my new apprentice has not retrieved the Zabata bin for me, as you promised she would. You did not promise that? Well, someone did. But I do confess she has a better eye for artistry than her brother ever possessed. See this mosaic Fastrith brought to my attention? It is the perfect match to one that decorated the hall under the mountain in Erebor, and which I was restoring before departing for Gundabad. My apprentice has somehow come into possession of numerous colorful stones with which I may be able to complete the mosaic. It will be another triumph by Stali the Hewer, master sculptor.
Ah, welcome back to Zul-mazal.
I understand you helped dear Broen collect stones and pebbles for me. Thank you for taking the time to do so. It can't have been easy. My master Stali is very pleased that he may be able to complete the mosaic, although he tries not to show it. When I presented to him the pouch of colorful pebbles that Broen gifted to me, he said he might begin my instruction in sculpting carving sometime in the next 10 years. That is quite soon, Floresita. Today he said he would teach me sometime in the next 100. Or yesterday, he said. Okay.
Fastrith was delighted by the gift. Thank you again for collecting those stones.
Reminded of the pouch of stones you brought on an orc in the Welkin lofts, you tell Broen of your discovery and hand it over. He beams happily at you. Perfect, my friend. This will surely be enough stones to complete the mosaic in this chamber.
For what purpose was this room constructed?
Is it a tomb or memorial of some kind? And yet it shares little with the crypts outside. I do feel the presence of an enchantment of some sort. It puts me in mind of a net draped upon stone. You tell Durin that Imlek sensed something similar in the chamber, but dismissed it as a product of the Angmarian cultists in Gundabad. Durin shakes his head. I do not think this is the work of the Angmarian. This enchantment feels dwarf-made to me. There is a secret in this chamber, Floresita, a dwarf's secret.
Will you help me uncover this secret?
According to Glukrub, this is the room from which Gorgar acquired the mithril hammer. Revealing the secret may help us understand why Rimmel Frostheart so fears this weapon, and how we may use it against her.
Then let us begin. This chamber will reveal its secrets to me. Together we will learn what secrets lie hidden within the walls of this chamber.
There is something here, Floresita. I am certain of it. In this room, like others in the Pit of Stonejaws, the tomb of a forgotten noble, my eyes is drawn to the structure in the center of the chamber. There is a hole in the top of that curious block. It leads me to believe no body ever lay within.
This must be where Glurkub found the mithril hammer. Let us return it for now, and see if anything reveals itself. Nothing? I thought I heard a sound.
There must be something else, my prince. If returning the hammer was sufficient, the goblin would have seen it.
Ah, well spotted, Bosie. But what else must be done?
Perhaps the mosaic must be intact.
I suppose it is possible. There is some enchantment here. You are in luck, Prince Durin.
Can this be anything but the work of the first crafter who made the dwarves? How else would the most renowned sculptor of his day, by which I mean me, the great Stolly the Hewer, come to this chamber at this time? I need not wait for Prince Durin's command. I will restore this mosaic to its original state, and no reward will be too great for the work at hand.
Come, Fostrith. You will help me assemble the mosaic. First, let us remove the stones so we can begin fresh. All right. Carefully, carefully. This is delicate work. Over here, and over here.
My prince, do you hear something?
I do. Hobgoblins!
Oh man, I want to see it restored. Alright. The hobgoblins must have sent a raiding party in search of plunder, but they will discover their deaths by the blade of the red axe instead. We will not let them disturb the work of Stolly and Fastrith, but they are more than welcome to be part of their own work, Floricita, for that work is slaying of hobgoblins. Okay.
Protect Stolly and Fastrith. They must finish the mosaic. It is finished.
Beautiful. What a work of art.
Behold, the death of Motsog the traitor, my prince.
But nothing happens. Perhaps this was not the key.
Are you certain the mosaic is complete, Stolly? Am I certain? Of course I am. How else could it look?
Well, I wonder.
A mosaic is not a painting, Floricita. You could change the picture by putting the stones in different places. What if the mosaic Stolly assembled beneath the lonely mountain is not the same as this one after all? What if this mosaic once displayed a different picture than that one?
I think we need to start over. I have had an idea.
What? When does the master heed the words of his apprentice? When he is commanded to do so by his prince, perhaps? Aye, perhaps then. We will clear the stones and begin anew.
That was your first mistake, I think. You shouldn't have cleared the stones,
You
though.
see, we start like so. And then, a little more. Yes, this is coming along.
I think I hear the hobgoblins return.
Once more, my friends, protect our prince and the artist. Yep.
picture is complete.
That makes
What
more
does it
sense.
show? I don't understand.
Motsog and Durin were friends before they were foes. Perhaps.
A secret passage. Fostrith was right. That was the key.
Alright. For how long has this door remained hidden beneath Zul-mazal, Florcita? The secret craft of ancient dwarves masked it from detection by the orcs who long resided in the mountain, but it could not escape my notice. It was no simple mechanism that hid this trap door for all these years, but also the working of an ancient spell. 2 keys served to keep it secret. For so long as the mosaic remained incomplete and the mithril hammer was absent, none could open the passage. Now we have turned both keys, and it is time to see what lies beneath the cold stone of Zul-mazal. Leave the mithril hammer where it lies, and I will instruct Bosi and these others to stand guard. You and I will climb through the trapdoor, Florcita, and see what there is to see, and learn what we may of Gundabad's secrets.
For how long has this secret stair remained hidden? And where does it lead? My breath is stolen away by the sight of this cavern.
And by the knowledge that none have traversed these steps for an age. The stair snakes along the wall, descending out of sight. How far below Gundabad will we find its lowest step? Tread carefully, Florcita. It will mean you at the bottom of the stairs, for surely there must be an end to them, is it not so? Huh. This way? I guess so. Ah, crunch. How'd he beat me?
Look there. A path leads to a chamber of some kind. What is this place?
Durin stares in disbelief at the statue on the opposite side of the chamber. That is the statue of Motsog the traitor, who led the Greymauls against Durin the Deathless in the First Age. He was slain at the conclusion of his rebellion. Why would he be given the dignity of a tomb? Durin fumes, his eyes flashing angrily as his fence clenched. What is the meaning of this? The statue of Motsog is very detailed. Someone crafted it with care.
I cannot believe a traitor such as Motsog would be given the dignity of a tomb.
Beneath the mountain home, Floresita. One of his followers must have built this place secret after Durin's judgment. Excuse me. Did they spirit his body here? Does it lie behind one of these walls, enjoying the undeserved rest of a traitorous worm? I am disgusted. Such a place should not be. I thought we would find some secret to opposing Greymaul Frostheart. There is no such secret here. Let us meet outside the shameful crypt and decide what next can be done. The statue of Motsog has changed. Where once it was worked in gray stone, now the statue is given the color he might have had in life. So too is there another change. The statue is now shorn of any beard. Despite its lifelike color, the statue remains unmoving and bereft of life. Something about the lifelike visage compels your eye, but the strange enchantment that encircles the statue of Motsog resists your study. The feeling that you are being washed by an invisible presence grows stronger and more unwelcome. I don't look at him. Okay, pretty lifelike. Something
is not right.
Are we being watched? Can you sense it? Show yourself, villain!
I say again, show yourself to us, villain! Only cowards hide behind such a veil of deception.
Something's not right. Some servant of Motsog the traitor may lie in wait, seeking to harm us. Remain on your guard. I don't trust that statue.
The statue of the traitor is so lifelike. Is this a tomb? I can almost hear him.
Don't hit it. Don't hit the statue.
How can I know the sound of the traitor's words? The bearer of that voice died long ago.
'Cause you are the true Durin.
And yet, I am put in mind of the anvil of Winterstith, and of a voice that spoke through the ice. It spoke of dwarves long dead, and of great deeds. It was the voice of a dwarf, not a dragon. It was the voice of a friend, courteous, but stern.
It was I who spoke to you, Durin, my friend.
Fell sorcery! Explain yourself, villain!
Sorcery, aye, but not of the sort you fear. This is the work of the first crafter.
Lies!
I would not speak falsely to you, Durin, my friend.
And yet you bear the visage of Motsog the traitor! How do you know my name?
I know you for my friend Durin, for I have seen you in all your guises during my long sleep. Your outward form does not hide you from the sight of my dream.
You say you know me. So too do I know you. Motsog the traitor, leader of the Greymauls, father of treachery. Why should I trust your words?
I have seen much you have forgotten. I will show these sights to you, that you may remember them.
What do you think?
Aye, let's do it. You are a friend of Durin, then you too will see what I have to show him.
See then what you have forgotten.
How can this be?
Durin's Bane and Khazad-dûm.
That is Durin the Sixth. We have to help him.
There is no help we can provide. This
Every dwarf knows the tale, but this vision is so lifelike.
They called it Durin's Bane, but I knew it by another name in another age. Long before the creature came to hide in this forgotten cavern, I knew it as Askardur's, and the memory of its scorching passage through my city and the heights is cruel. But that was long ago.
Durin the Fifth, slayer of the dragon Sorog.
So you were, and yet... The dragon was also your end.
Does it always end thus?
Aye, that is the fate of Durin in every age in which he appears. Motsog's expression is devoid of emotion and impossible to read. I have seen them all.
Durin the Fourth came to the aid of the last alliance in distant Mordor. How is it you beheld this?
The first crafter gave to me the dreaming sight. I have seen all your victories and all your defeats.
It has been both curse and blessing to see these trials, for it was the will of the first crafter that I should be unable to look away. I have seen moments of triumph, but so too have I seen defeats that would scar the iron heart of any dwarf, marking him forever with its imprint.
When Sauron waged his war upon Eregion, Durin the Third fought well and bravely. Did he not?
Many were the glorious deeds you accomplished in that war, my friend. But this was the last. Retreating into Khazad-dûm and sealing the doors.
But the dwarves survived. The king did what needed to be done.
It has always been difficult for me to see these trials unable to intervene. It is no reward, friend of Durin, to remain helpless in this, but it could not be otherwise. The dreaming sight cares not.
Durin II ruled in Gundabad. Would that I could have seen it at its height.
But you did, my friend. Can you not see yourself behind the guise of each ruler I have shown to you? Here it was that you offered Gundabad to the Jelruka.
Stop! Stop these visions! Put an end to this nonsense! I am shaken, I confess it.
Why does Motsag show these visions to us, Florisita? For what purpose would such a foe of my great ancestor give this knowledge to me? What does Motsag hope to gain from aiding me thus? Yeah, I'm gonna keep my own boots.
I will not be swayed by honeyed words from an enemy's tongue.
Did you mark how often he called me his friend? But it is not so. Remain on your guard, and I will do the same. Durin stares coldly at the beardless dwarf standing in the ancient crypt. I know you for an enemy, Motsag, and I demand that you account for yourself. Do you deny your treachery?
I do not deny it. Durin, who was once my friend.
Behind you, Durin snorts. Behind you, Durin snorts loudly with disgust. It is true, Motsag continues. Once we were great friends, and you trusted me with your kingdom. But I do not deny my treachery. Hear how it was, and you may remember it anew.
Once in, it was by the Miramir that Durin's heart dwelt evermore. When he went there to live, it was I, Motsag. He left to rule Gundabad in his name.
How could Durin the Deathless entrust one such as Motsag with the rule of his kingdom? It beggars belief, Florisita. There were no indications of Motsag's evil or his treacherous nature.
We had fought side by side against the creatures of Morgoth for many years. But it is as I said, his heart was captured by the lands he saw a-wandering.
The lake there is so beautiful and clear you can see the stars reflected in it even at midday. And such caves as you have never seen, dear Motsag. But they cannot compare with those of our home, surely. Had you only seen them, you would understand.
But I had not, and I did not.
What of this metal you found, this true silver? I do not wish to disbelieve you, my brother, but I must but I find I must. Every word I spoke of it is true. It is a metal of surpassing strength, lightness, and beauty.
Mithril.
Aye, so it was.
It is a sign, my friend. The place where it can be found will be a new home for our people. I ask you again, come with us. No, Durin, my place is here. Then rule as well on my behalf, dear Motsag.
Not all of the Longbeards chose to follow Durin to the shore of Keled Zaram.
Durin took the greater portion of the Longbeards with him to found the Darrowmoot of Khazad-dûm, and I governed those who remained behind. Those years were hard and bloody, for the orcs had been emboldened by the exodus of so many dwarves. They sought to conquer Gundabad. We held them back, but with no few defenders the cost was high. 6 of my 7 sons were slain in those wars, and only the youngest, Modvit, survived to be named my sole heir. My heart grew cold, and only orc slaying could bring me joy. The heads of our enemies adorned the gates of the mountain home. Some among my people whispered that Durin had abandoned us to the encircling orcs. During the years that followed, the whispers grew, and with them my own legend. Noble Motsag, who stood alone against all the forces of Morgoth, fighting to preserve his people. My son Modvit became the fiercest of my adherents, and in time he had me believing what was said of me, that I was equal to, or perhaps even greater than, the king himself.
It was at this time that a party of elves tarried in Gundabad. Their weapons shone with a brilliant luster, and all could see they were wrought of true silver.
How can you buy those weapons? We fashion them ourselves, good dwarf. Can you not see the fine craft of their making? Do you make mock of my father? Remember, you are a guest here, and still your tongue. The mithril was a gift to us from your kin in Khazad-dûm. How can this be? Durin would not part with a metal so valuable unless it were a gift to the kin he left behind.
My anger could not be contained. I had need of the true silver to fuel my war against the orcs and trolls. Was Mithril not the domain of dwarves alone? Here it was in the hands of elves. But not for long.
Uh-oh. That was the wrong thing to do. The sight of mithril weapons in the hands of elves have kindled a dark flame of greed and envy in my heart. How many of my people might have been spared had Durin given such true steel to we who remained? How many of my sons might have survived battle with the orcs and trolls that sought to conquer the mountain home had they possessed weapons of such quality? Only one son remained to me on that dark day, and it was he who slew the elf captain. His people leapt to the defense, wielding their mithril blades with deadly skill, but Movit was not alone, and my worthiest commander stood with him. When the fighting was ended, my spear too dripped with the blood of my guests.
I claimed the mithril weapons of the elves for my people. I had them reforged into 7 great war hammers. So too did I reforge my people. What once were Longbeards became something new. We became the Greymauls, and I the king of Gundabad. I spoke boldly, but I feared the armies of Durin. What secret paths into Gundabad might you know that I did not? I ordered the creation of a mighty golden city in the mountains.
With its thick walls and defensible approaches, my new stronghold in Beriz-Zazar in the high mountains to the south were secure from any assault. My loyal Greymaul stood at the parapets of my city and gloated, insisting that Durin's warriors would be unable to ascend the heights and the former king would meet our demands. But I wondered and I worried. The defenses of Beriz-Zahar were strong, but I feared they would not be strong enough. Word reached me that the former king had assembled a vast army of Longbeards, and even now he marched at his head to put down the revolt. We would not hope to match such numbers as Durin levied, and the size of the approaching host was more than double my own. In Beriz-Zahar I have built my tomb. This truth came slowly to me, but it did not come to me alone. The city is strong, Father, but we cannot hope to match the strength of Durin's armies. What do you suggest we do, my son? There is only one who hates Durin and his followers as much as we. Let us make common cause with his servants, Father. With the orcs and trolls as allies, we might stand a chance against Durin's greater numbers.
I see now that my son Mordvit was possessed of a wicked heart. But I heeded his words, as I should not have done.
Orc and dwarf and troll marched side by side in the misty mountains for the first time, and as Durin's own army approached Gundabad, my combined force fell upon his with a ferocity he could never have anticipated. The rout was total and complete, and the finest warriors of Khazad-dûm fled from the hammers of the Greymauls and the fangs of the orcs and the clubs of the mountain trolls. Durin's eldest sons were slain by orcs in that first battle, and I thought it meet. Had I not lost my own sons, save Modvit, to such as they. It seemed little different to me at the time, though I had joined hands with the forces of Morgoth and his commander Sauron. It was Durin drove me to do, and if there was to be blame, let it lie with him. My forces returned in triumph to Beriz-Zahar, and my commanders believed the war had reached a decisive end. He knew it was not so. I knew it for what it proved to be, the beginning only.
See you now that I deny nothing?
You who were Durin, you were my friend and my lord, but I coveted your title and your lands, the respect and the love that was given you. I listened too closely to those of my people who whisper that I might truly be an eighth father of the dwarves. Mosok turns his attention to you. Aye, an eighth father to join the other seven. If there were 8 and not 7, my people whispered, about what else might they deceive us? Some suggested falsely that perhaps I awoke first beneath the mountains, and it was Durin who usurped my rights and privileges. Durin was the usurper. They were false whispers, but they echoed loudly in the halls of Gundabad while Durin was away, and I did not speak against them as I should have done. That failure led in direct line to the Greymaul Rebellion. Mosog once again addresses Durin. No, my friend, I do not deny my treachery, neither do I deny the blood spilled by those who followed me.
These crimes are unforgivable.
And they match my understanding of the Greymaul Rebellion. You deserved the death given to you by my ancestor Durin, to whom you owed fealty. You claim you were his friend, you say you speak the truth about the Greymaul Rebellion, but I deem you speak falsely on this. You were no friend of Durin, nor are you a friend of mine.
Finish your tale, Motsog, and be done with it.
I care not if you repent of the evils you wrought. Speak of Durin's judgment, and know that you deserved it.
I speak not of deserving, my friend.
I speak only of what occurred, and leave the judging of what was deserved to others. When Durin does not reply, Mosok addresses you once again. My rebellion led to 10 years of war. 10 years of fighting levied a bloody toll on Greymaul and Longbeard alike, but still there was no sign that an end could ever come. At last, after 10 years, Durin devised a plan to bring the conflict to an end.
This was the plan of Durin, foolhardy as it must have seemed to those who cared for him. It began with his surrender.
Poor Durin. Durin was brought in chains to the very summit of Beriz-Zahar, where my people and their orc allies gathered to see the fallen king and make mock of him. He suffered their taunting and their jests for many an hour, but I could see no sign of despair upon his face. I noted it even then.
In this moment of triumph, my Greymaul saw not the danger. An army came by secret paths to free their captive king.
It was Regna the Fierce, Durin's queen, who led them in secret across the river and to the base of Beriz-Zahar. She was a mighty warrior and had slain Orc and Greymaul alike during the war. But now she found the gates of my city unguarded. Too many of my folk desired to be present at Durin's defeat. So it was that Regna and her army entered the city unopposed. They found a stair to the heights and began to climb. But an army cannot remain silent for long, and when Regna's warriors reached the upper levels of the city, my warriors were made aware of their presence. They raced to engage the interlopers.
Longbeard fought Greymaul and Orc in the heights of Beriz-Zahar, and the lanes ran with blood.
I know of your crimes, Motsog.
But you know not of this, Durin, for it was known only to few.
Morgoth and his lieutenant Sauron had not been idle during the 10 years of conflict between the dwarf clans. In secret they devised a plan by which Longbeard and Greymaul alike might be destroyed, and the dwarves swept entirely from the Middle Earth. And so it was that while Longbeard and Greymaul battled in the heights of my golden city, Sauron watched from afar with malice afire in his heart. Morgoth's cruel servant sent a preordained signal to his legions.
9 great dragons swept out of the northern skies, raining fire upon the mountainside. The orcs turned their swords upon Longbeard and Greymaul alike.
The words of Motsog have painted the picture of a dwarf woman who will stop at nothing to rescue her husband and king. You can almost see her striding through the burning streets of Beriz-Zahar, calling for Durin to answer her. As Motsog's voice fades, the heat of the flames feels so real.
Fang feasted upon dwarves that day. Many warriors died to Thorog's claws in Beriz-Zahar. I cannot say. But dragons were not the only evils sent by Sauron to my city. Ascadors, wreathed in shadow and flame.
Despite the anger and the foes array before her, Ragna the Fierce did reach the high places of Beriz-Zahar, and she freed her husband and king from his bondage. But that was not enough for victory. Durin picked up a fallen blade and joined the battle, but the orcs were too many and the dwarves too divided. The Longbeards feared to present their backs to the Greymauls, lest their foes take advantage of their distraction, and the Greymauls fear the same of the Longbeards. By the time Ragna freed Durin, 2/3 of the dwarves had perished to flame and black steel. Sauron and his master, watching from afar, delighted in the carnage. The orcs would win the day, and no dwarf could leave Beriz-Zahar alive. Greymaul of the Heights.
A great storm arose, and the mountain itself was sundered. The flame of Az-Kadur's was quenched, and he fled. We suffered grievous losses, but so too did Sauron. 5 dragons were slain at our hands. Those that escaped would cower in fear of our weapons forevermore. And so concluded the Sunder-Battle, and with it, the Greymaul Rebellion. I was defeated, but the dwarves survived.
Much I have seen in the years since the Sunder-Battle might have transpired differently had I slain Rimmel Frostheart in Beriz-Zahar, but it was not to be. And yet I know this: the memory of the wounds she sustained from the mithril hammer pains her still, even to this day. Mossog falls silent and turns his piercing gaze upon Durin.
Durin knows the rest of the tale. It is not for me to tell.
Is this some trick?
How do you expect me to know the conclusion of your tale, Motsog? It is an impossibility. Durin turns to you, irritation on his face, but before he can voice his dismissal, his brow burrows with confusion. And yet there is something strange, Florisita. As I cast my memory to Sundergrot, I find that I see it not as it were mere weeks ago, but as Motsog described it during the first age. Then it was the sight of Beriz-Zahar. How can this be? I do not know what happened following the Sunder-Battle. Durin stares at you with amazement in his eyes. I was there, Florisita. I was in Moria, and at Heligrod, and in Mordor. I am Durin now as I was then 6 times before. I will finish your tale, Motsog. I am the only one still in this world who can.
Hear then the end of the tale, as I know it to be.
For I am Durin, father of the dwarves, first to awaken, and I was there.
The battle was ended, but there were tears still to shed.
The 2 armies of the dwarves had won the day, but each had suffered grievous losses, and yet their wounds did not quench their battle fury. Longbird and Greymaul alike pursued the retreating orcs, slaying them by the thousand. The orc host was so badly defeated it would not trouble the Misty Mountains for the remainder of the age. Consumed with frustrated wrath, Morgoth's Lieutenant Sauron witnessed his allies' defeat and fled with the surviving dragons back to Thane-Gordrim, where he would face his master's displeasure. Let us hurry. The memory of the charnel house that Beriz-Zahar became pains my heart.
I held the axe that would end your life, Motsog. Even now I can feel the weight of it in my hand.
I remember the tears on my face. Tears so bitter they burned holes in my armor.
So many of our people slain.
The Greymauls who survived the Sunder-Battle, though they were few in number, were granted mercy. They were made to shear their beards short as penance for raising weapons against their proper king and for allying with the orcs, and for generations after no child of a Greymaul was permitted to wear his or her beard longer than a hand's breadth. Many dwarves looked upon the Greymauls with distrust for years afterwards, but none more so than Regna the Fierce. It was who suggested that dwarf women should remain ever vigilant in the halls of their folk, for hearth and home can be endangered when watchfulness fails. Regna swore to never again allow such rebellion to grow and thrive in the halls of her people, and for all her remaining years, and for those of her daughters it did not.
The wounds of the Greymaul Rebellion were never forgotten, but Motsog himself disappeared into legend.
A simple dwelling was fashioned in the caverns deep beneath Gundabad, and it was there that Motsag went to live out his remaining years. I brought supplies and provisions to that deep cavern from time to time, for Motsag refused to walk among the dwarves who lived in the halls above. As a hermit he lived, he who once pretended to kinship. He never again raised a weapon in anger. Was I his jailer or his friend, Floresita? I see now that I was both, but it was not I alone who kept him there. Motsag remained in this place for the guilt he felt, and as the years passed, folk who lived in Gundabad and elsewhere forgot the dwarf he had been and remembered only his name and the ill repute of his deeds.
You were my only friend in those days, Durin, as you had been in the beginning. None others visited in my solitude. And that was just.
On my last visit, I found that you had entered a deep slumber from which you would not wake. Sleep well, my enemy and my friend. I wish for you pleasant dreams. May they show you that our people live on and are strong. Farewell, Motsag. I knew it not at the time, but the first crafter heard my words. He gave to you the dreaming sight, to last until I returned and awakened you. And now I have, these many lives later.
Durin gave me my life, both mercy and punishment.
I have remained in this chamber ever since, casting my dreaming gaze over the mountains, watching from afar the trials of the dwarves. I say it was mercy, for truly I deserved a usurper's death. But so too do I call it punishment, for I was unable to intervene or aid them in their struggles. On rare occasions, one of those I watched would seem to catch a glimpse of me, but never in my own form. Was this a cruelty of the first crafter, or some confounding jest? I cannot say. But this I know, only once did he to whom I spoke hear my words. It was Durin who heard me, Durin who returned again and again with new visage, but the same spirit in his breast. Only Durin heard my words, my friend of old, who showed me the mercy I did not deserve. So often had I sought to aid the dwarves in their trials, and so often failed. But when Durin stood before the anvil of Wintersith, I spoke to him of Gundabad and his right to rule the mountain home for all dwarves, and he listened. It must mean something. My long penance nears its end, and the prolonged hours of my dream must soon pass away. Soon I will wake, and Motsag will be no more. Oh, I might take that one. Outgoing healing does nothing for me. Maybe not. I don't know.
I deem you are his close advisor.
Advise him then of this. I will walk in the world for only one more day before my long life is spent. When the sun sets on this day, my breath will be stilled, and I will disappear from this place, never to return. In that time I have but one desire. I wish to do whatever my friend commands for the vigil of so many years of giving me this knowledge. Durin is the rightful king of the dwarves. He was my first friend, my dear companion, and having made him an enemy, I mourned the brother I lost. Now, in the span of the single day I have remaining to me, I will do what I can to deliver him to kingdom.
I am conflicted.
I am grateful to know now without doubt that I am he who wished to be, but Mozart's part in this discovery does not erase his treachery, nor will it cause me to forgive his misdeeds. I must think upon what is to be done.
I have decided.
Were I not to be king when my father leaves the throne, I would say to Mozart, be gone, let the sun set upon you, and trouble no longer the dwarves. That would even be just, for the wrongs of the Greymaul Rebellion did not abate when the Sunder-Battle ended. No, the injuries left by that conflict remain with us. Do Zaruka and Longbeard not bristle at the perceived slights of the other, and ponder if something of the Greymaul spirit lives on behind their rivals' clenched teeth? Do they not look upon the stout axe with distrust, brooding upon his long habitation in Mordor? The lesson of Mazog was taught to the dwarves early, and did not diminish within the years. Were I not to be king when my father releases the crown, I would climb the secret stair to the known levels of Gundabad, leaving Mozog and what I learned here behind. But I cannot, for I will have the concerns of a king, and I did 6 times before. Mozog is a tool to be used, Floricita, and I will wield this tool against our foes. I will use him to wrest control of the mountain home from both orc and dragon. Surely Rimmel Frostheart will remember the Greymaul leader who injured her during the Sunder-Battle, and without the power of the dragon behind him, the Gebelika will be able to deal with Gorgar. Durin once again dresses the impassive figure in the hidden chamber. What say you, Mozog? Will you spend your last day fighting for the dwarves once betrayed? I do not command you, I only ask of you.
I swear to
All
fight
right.
for you, my friend of old.
Mic off.
For as long as I am able.
Mic on.
Montag not solemnly at Durin. I swear to fight for you, my friend of old, my king. For as long as I am able, I will deliver to you control of the kingdom I once stole, and if the last rays of sun vanish behind the mountain before I seize your victory, I will perish with sorrow in my heart, and none before or since will know such grief as I know in my failure.
It seems the conquest of Gundabad will succeed or fail by nightfall.
Let us hope we will celebrate the victory before the sun sets on this day. I know what I must do now.
The time has come for me to call for Darrowmoot.
A meeting of all the dwarves here in the mountain home. It was held at the Thingfold in the Welkin Lofts, and whenever the dwarves hold grave matters to discuss or a need that could not be addressed without the consensus of many dwarf lords. It was a ritual for marshalling of war or the making of peace, and was common at one time. When Gundabad was briefly reclaimed at the onset of the Sixth War, the first Darrowmoot in 4,000 years was called at the fold, and the course of that conflict was decided. I will call for Darrowmoot once again, Florisita. There I will explain the final steps we must take to drive Greymaul Frostheart and her thrall Gorgar from Gundabad. Only then will the mountain home will be ours again. Climb the secret stair back to Zul-mazal, seek out a leader of the Iron Garrison, such as Bosior's kin, Glowing of the Longbirds, Prince Ingor of the Zaruka, and Imek the Stout Axe, and tell them to bring their companies of dwarves to the Thingfold for Darrowmoot. Okay, we will end the video there. I have to go out and do some errands. So thank you all for watching. Again, if you happen to like the video, please feel free to hit that like, subscribe, bell notification. And next time we will hopefully finish the Legacy of Durin storyline here. We're on Chapter 11, and we're going to see the Darrowmoot. Okay, see you all next time. Thank you for watching.